Okay, so one of the things as an athlete you want to balance is your workload versus the amount of rest you have. And the reason for that is you want to maximize the amount of time you have before a peak event. And by maximizing that time, you want to increase the absolute amount of workload that you can handle to stress your system, but enough time so you can recover to actually have effective workouts. And one of the things that you can use is readiness score. And people probably now have heard of that term enough because of Aura, Whoop, now Apple Watch, and it's just in the lexicon now of athletic performance. But that only gives you a broad window as far as whether or not you're ready to perform at a high level for your training. And since I'm a cyclist, a sprint track cyclist, explosive efforts are my bread and butter. I've been doing this long enough where I know, generally speaking, how I feel, and more importantly, how I'm going to perform in the day's prescribed workout. And in my case, since I am a self-coached athlete, I can adapt my workout. But let's just say you're not a self-coached athlete and you are being coached by someone. As a coach or someone observing you and trying to guide you through your training, that person doesn't have any idea how you feel. And so they need to figure out an objective way of measuring that from a distance. And one of the best ways that I have found for foot-based athletes, which is, most of us, sorry, swimmers, is the use of force plates and jump performance, more importantly, explosive efforts. But the problem was force plates were prohibitively expensive for the occasional athlete or definitely the amateur athlete, the non-elite athlete. But that changed as soon as this company OVR introduced this laser-based force. It's not force, it's a laser-based jump analyzer, and it's just using lasers to calculate how fast you've accelerated off the ground and how long it took you to land. This is a game changer, and I don't want to sound like a shill for them, but it's basically these two devices, the OVR Jump, and it's a transmitter and a receiver, or actually a transmitter and a receiver, and it's creating a laser matrix that is watching how high you jump. Hopefully it's not going to make too much noise off the mic. Which is great because now instead of spending thousands of dollars on a force plate, you can get it for $299 or something like that. It was insanely cheap. So it's a huge, huge difference. I honestly did not think this was going to work. But one of the things that, which I was amazed that it came with, was the ability to work in a readiness score. And what they called it, not they, but the term is an RSI score. An RSI score, which is a Reactive Strength Index. And what that does is it calculates your reaction, your ground contact force time, how fast you hit the ground off of a set height. In this case, I use a step stool. It's like 14 inches tall. How long it takes for you to jump off the ground, how high you jump, and it aggregates that data to give you a relative score. Not relative score, and subjective score. And you take that number and you base that, you create a baseline over time of comparing how you feel to what that score was. And then eventually you'll get to a point where you'll get, say, in my case, a reactive RSI score of 1.5 is a good day for me. Anything higher than that, it's a stellar day. Anything lower than that, obviously, I'm not feeling great and not responding quickly. And that's the thing, is it takes a little bit of time. So now I've had this for a couple of months now, and I got it before I went to the World Championships. So I didn't really do too much with it, but I started to get a baseline, because that was probably the best time where I could gauge, like, I had a high training volume, and then I had data on when I was peaked. And so this was really good stuff. And so off of that data now, I can go and take that those numbers and run with them, so to speak. And what I'm going to demonstrate for you is how I test RSI. And in fact, the way I do it is kind of what I mean how I do it is how I arrange. I prefer to arrange the transmitter receiver. You can jump, so the beams are going this way in an angled. The transmitter is at a smaller. It's a smaller length, and it comes out as a trapezoid, and so it's wider at one point and narrower at another point. I, for whatever reason, prefer to jump, mainly because the camera is in front of me, with it in a narrow beam pattern. So I can't really screw up going forward or backward. But OVR would like for you to jump this way, where you can screw up when you jump and land. You can jump forward, back, and if you're off balance, it doesn't matter. Just out of habit, I'll do it this way. Plus, it's camera friendly. But that said, RSI is great for that readiness score. And what I do is I kind of use that as either that score to bolster how I'm feeling that day. It's like, oh yeah, man, that sounds about right. Like, that was a good RSI score, Will. You felt good today. Or like, man, I feel crappy. Let me use my RSI. And to get readiness scores, sorry, you need to do this at the beginning of your workout to try to give you an idea of whether or not you need to dial back your prescribed workout, if it's a lot of explosive efforts and that require, or like very fast reaction times and bursts of power, or high loads if you're lifting, Olympic lifts particularly. Or should you just go ahead and have an easy day and take a rest, as opposed to spending effort and energy trying to make a tired pig run fast. And that's a crappy analogy, but that's the thing, is it's a better optimization of your time. If you're not feeling great, you're not going to perform well. And if there's actual data to back it up. So that's it. If you do get your nice little warm up beforehand, which I do, stretch out, hips, everything. I get geared up in whatever I'm going to wear for my main workout, shorts or whatever, bibs or whatever. And I set this up, and I get a reactive, an RSI score. And I kind of use that as, like I said, a gauge against how I feel and what I have to do that day. And if I get an RSI score of, say, 0.5 off of what I normally would normally get, I would have to say, yeah, you might want to pack it up, Will. 0.25 off, it's proceed with caution. And when it's above that, then I'm like, yes, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good PR. And again, this could be, a lot of this is placebo. But placebo works 30% of the time. So if it has a positive net effect, then take it. But that said, let me get this set up. What I'm going to do is, what's nice about the OVR system is it is sandboxed, meaning you don't need an app or to share any data. You can get a reading right on this OLED display, and it'll just delete it as soon as you're done. But if you use the app, you get it'll push it up to their servers, push your data up to the servers, save it, and you'll have a historic record of how you've performed. You just do it with a piece of paper if you want, which I really appreciate that it's sandboxed. You literally do not need an app, and which is kind of odd because to get this low price point, a lot of times people will subsidize the equipment by having access to your data, and they're not doing that. But that said, the app is very, very good, and one of the cool features is you can use the camera of the phone, and film you performing your recorded workout and your RSI jumps. Or to go back, what SALT also does is measure your vertical jump. And that said, it'll do an overlay of the reading it gets in real time. And so you can have a nice little social media friendly bragging rights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up like I normally do and record it with a tripod and my phone just off to the side of this camera. And when I'm done, I'll overlay that information on this as you're watching it. Hopefully that's it for right now. I'll be right back in a minute. I'll actually show you how, hopefully without any glare, if this will work. This is what it'll be like when you start the app, and it'll look for my system, and I found it. And this is the screen. Wow, not too much glare. You have a vertical jump test, RSI mode, or a ground contact time mode. RSI aggregates both of these data points into a number, and it just kills two birds with one stone of getting that. So what it'll do is it'll spit out your ground contact force time and your vertical leap off of that really quick reaction and give you that RSI score. So for just my ego, I do the vertical jump test a lot, and for my training, because I'm just curious about improving my vertical jump. So that said, we're going to do an RSI test, and it'll be a regular RSI mode, and this is what the screen's going to look like. We can do the camera, and as you can see, hopefully you can see, it's filming that. Well, not filming that, but it's showing. I'm going to start the video in a minute. So hang tight. Okay, so right now it is recording me and waiting for me to do my jump. Like I said, I always do this with the stool, and this is my control, and it's about 14 inches tall. And what I'll do is I'll step off 1 foot and hit the ground with both feet, and then jump as high as I can, as quickly as I can. And that will give me that RSI score, in which I'll overlay this. That was, a 1.64 RSI score off of a 20.6 vertical leap with a 0.318 millisecond, well, not millisecond, 0.318 second ground contact time. That's how fast I reacted. So sometimes I can, you can goose the RSI score if you jump higher, but not as fast, or react fast, a faster ground contact time, and not jump as high. And me personally, to try to get the highest score, I try to react faster and don't really pay attention to the total height. So let's just try that one more time. That was a 1.44 RSI with a 21.3 inch jump and a 0.376 second GCT. We'll do it one more time. Honestly, I kind of feel like I'm not reacting fast, but the data tells me otherwise. That was a 1.54 RSI with a 19.9 vertical leap, inch leap, and a 0.329 second GCT. And the smaller the GCT number, the faster your reaction time was. So that all makes sense. and I'll overlay that over here. And yeah, so hang on, I'm going to stop the app. I'll show you how I stop the app. So right now it's still recording, and you want to hold the reading button, and it's going to, this actually pushes to the server. That said, whatever latest software revision, they're using a higher frame rate, and the video is much higher quality, even though it's using the camera on the iPhone, and now it's pushing it to the cloud, and of course it takes takes longer right now. I'll come back to it in a minute, unless it doesn't come. Okay, of course it came back as soon as I stopped. Okay, so this is going to be replaying what it just recorded, and I am going to, the one thing I wish it would automatically save is I'm going to save the video, and it's saved, and confirm that that recording session's over. Anyway, that is RSI used as a readiness indicator, at least how I use it. For yourself, if you ever get a system like this, that delta, if you're like 0.5 off of your normal RSI score or whatever, should be based on you personally. That 0.5 one I threw out there was a number my friend BJ gave me, BJ Olson, Coach BJ Olson. And you can adapt that and fine tune that to your own liking. But these are tools we have now that are frankly amazing. Especially, like I said, you compare to what was available, more importantly, how expensive it was available up until 4 months ago. This is just absolutely revolutionary, and I'm going to continue to use this for as long until something else comes along that gives me a better indicator of how I'm feeling right now, as opposed to how am I feeling this morning from how I slept, and so forth. And but this is good stuff. We're in a world now where we're leveraging so much technology and so much data and so much information that it's high time that athletes take advantage of that and try to utilize this data. And a lot of times, the data we collect is just junk, and we don't know how truly to utilize it. People will say, "Well, I know how to utilize that." It's like, well, but you have to make a start somewhere. And just like we did with wattage and all kinds of things. And to that, with wattage, one of the OVR's first products was a velocity measuring tool for barbell speed, or moving an object. And you calculate the speed on the actual weight, and you can get wattage, and you can get a very tight granularity of how much work you're performing. I got that as a package. Frankly, that's something I need to leverage more, only because I don't use barbells that much. I already have that velocity information with the flywheel trainers, the eccentric stuff. And but it's great to have. Again, we live in a world now where there's so much data and so much cool tech at our disposal. You got to get out there and start using it. Thanks for watching.